Hello everyone, my name is VINODKUMAR Rajendran. I am from 4BMMMS1/2. My matric number is B0918103141. I like to present about my bachelor degree project entitled Analysis of Water Quality of Developed Water Filtration System. ENCIK ARIZAM is my supervisor. In this presentation, I am going to explain about the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, the result discussion, the conclusion, and the reference of the project. Firstly, introduction. Water filtration has advanced with the knowledge and technology as the time goes on. To deliver clean and safe water, it is advisable to use water filtration system. Water filtration can be stated as an operation towards eliminating or decreasing the convergence of particles including airborne particles, viruses, microscopic organisms, parasites, and other undesirable substances and natural toxins from tainted water. Water filtration is important because water can have contaminated or polluted with illness-causing substances. Water filtration is fundamental piece of water treatment cycle to make the water to be consumable. There were people nearly 4,000 years back trusted if the water seems cloudless, it was secure to be consumed, but it developed to bring different type of sickness and infection when directly drinked. Afterward, in 5th century, Hippocrates was quick to build up the idea of going water through a cloth to eliminate residue and sludge. The Egyptians decontaminated the drinking water by utilizing various of techniques to kill hurtful microorganisms during 3rd and 4th century. They heated up the water and warmed it under the sun or immersed blistering iron into it. The Egyptians also filtered the contamination from water by filtering it through sand and gravel. Over the following few centuries, filtration method transformed very slightly until 1627, when Sir Robert Bacon produced impressive progression with sand filtration to dispose of salt from ocean water. In 18th century, numerous countries started utilizing filters built from charcoal, sponge, and wool to remove contaminants in water. By 20th century, technologically evolved nations had set up guidelines that set at least standards of water quality. Water quality cannot be designed based on its appearance. To analyze water quality and water pollutant level, basic parameters are examined. The water will be purified and tested to determine the water quality is above the water quality standard before it reaches the consumer. Next, the problem statement. Floods in Malaysia are becoming normal catastrophic events which happen particularly during the monsoon season every year. Due to the severe rain, a greater number of individuals were affected in many states. Floods can have a variety of health effects depending on the situation. Floods can result in drowning, injury, hypothermia, and animal bites. Floods cause infected wounds, damaging consequences, poisoning, poor mental health, infectious disease, and itchiness to the skin. Permanent consequences include chronic sickness, disability, and mental health issues such as malnutrition. A flood evacuation center was constructed to offer flood victims with a temporary secure place. Water supply is vital for the flood victims in the evacuation center. Insufficient water supply can lead to many problems. The more the flood victims, the more the water supply is needed. Moving on to objective and scope. What are the focus of this study? The first objective is to develop traditional water filtration system for the application of emergency water supply system for flood victims. The second is to analyze the performance of filtration process based on the different configuration. The third objective is to analyze the quality of filtrated water based on the different configurations. Moving on to scope of the research. This traditional water filtration system is mainly designed to filter flood water to give emergency water supply system to flood victims in flood evacuation center. The water filtered through this system can be used for bathing, washing, cleaning and other external purposes. It is not suitable for drinking. The materials that used to filter the water were naturally available materials such as pebbles, gravels, coarse sand, fine sand, coconut fiber and cotton. Then, charcoal was also used to filter the water, where charcoal was normally obtained through burning of wood. Water quality testing such as pH test and turbidity test will be performed. Okay, let's talk about the literature review. So where does the facts come from? As this far, I have really studied 27 references by the book, journal and articles. So in this presentation, I will cite a few citations that become the main idea of this project. Firstly, the title of article is Flood and Flash Flood Geohazard in Malaysia by Buslima F. in 2018. The researchers state flooding is a phenomenon that affects many individuals around by either mental or physical. Floods can also destroy assets and properties as well as cause a massive loss. The victims needed to produce mitigations and prevent of the flood disaster. The second article is about a review on traditional water purification method used in rural area by Chaurasia S and Tiwari AK in 2016. The researcher stated the local traditional water treatment expertise emerged and spread among rural populations, resulting in water supply sources. Filtration is the only convenient procedure employed by rural residents. The third literature review is Understanding the Relationship of Land Use and Water Quality in 21st Century. The author is Giri in 2016. This research is mainly on depth examination of land use and water quality. This is extremely beneficial for all countries, but particularly for emerging countries with poor water qualities. Okay, now moving on to the methodology part. For the methodology part, a process flowchart was created to do the project. First of all, the project started with identifying research problems, then establishing research scope and objectives. After that, a conceptual sketch and design was made. After the design was completed, the material selection has been made to do 10 configuration for the testing. Once the configuration was tested whether it works properly or not. If it works, it will go to the next process where water filtration analysis. There will be a pH and turbidity test will be tested. After the water filtration analysis has been completed, the result will be discussed based on the water quality level and will made to a conclusion where the final step will be the report submission. For the experimental setup, it began with the preparation of water sample to be filtered. A sample of floodwater was taken from Kampung Beringin, Durian Tunggal Melaka. Then 10 filter cartridges were constructed by cutting 10 water bottles in half across with wide of the bottle and removing the cap. The translucent water bottles were chosen because they allow for a clear view of filtration process. The filter materials were then placed into the bottles in the predetermined configurations. The filtering material was cleaned with 2000 ml of water. An initial volume of 100 ml water was poured into every configuration. The time taken to filter the water and the final volume was tabulated. Then the reading was taken 3 times to calculate the average value. Total mass, weight ratio, thickness and flow rate values are obtained through the experimental setup. After the experimental setup, the flood water was filtered through the developed configurations. Then the filter water was poured into the specimen container and it was labeled according to the filter configurations. While conducting the experiment, the total mass, thickness, weight ratio and flow rate data was obtained and tabulated. pH meter was calibrated before starting each testing to avoid errors in the reading. pH value for the flood water is 5.81 and turbidity of flood water is 130 NTU. A pH value of 7 is regarded as a neutral. The ideal pH value for drinking water is between 6.5 and 8.5. 6.5 to 8.5. Although humans have a greater tolerance for pH levels, drinkable levels range from 4 to 11 without causing any significant problems or issues. Then a greater pH greater than 11 might irritate the skin, eyes, and less than 4 can cause same problems. A pH value less than 2.5 will permanently harm the skin and organ. Lower pH value increases the likelihood of mobilized harmful metals being absorbed even by humans, and pH values more than 8 cannot be disinfected efficiently with chlorine, posing additional indirect dangers. For Malaysia water quality standards, pH value between 6 and 9 are classified as Class 2A and 2B. Class 2A is mainly about conventional treatment, and fishery 2 is concerned with the delicate aquatic species. Class 2B is for the bodily contact as a recreational activity. Data obtained from the pH test of 10 filtered water samples. The lowest pH value is 6.27 and the highest pH value is 7.13. The pH value goes below than 6.27. Turbidity can be referred as the amount of cloudiness of water. According to the Malaysia's National Water Quality Standard, turbidity values of 50 NTU are classified as Class 11A and Class 11B. Class 11 is primarily concerned with conventional water supply or water treatment, and fishery is concerned with the delicate species. Class 11B is for the recreational body contact. The turbidity value of the flood water tested is 130 NTU. However, the filtered water shows the lowest NTU turbidity value compared to the original collected water sample. The highest turbidity value obtained from the testing is 43.26 and the lowest is 10.30 NTU. For conclusion, quality of filtered water is affected by the relationship between filtration flow rate and thickness of filtering medium. From the result obtained, the pH level and turbidity value for the configuration 3 and configuration 6 gave better result compared to the other water sample that produced from the remaining configurations. Water will enter the sand pores since it has pores, and the thicker the sand, the larger the filtration output and the shorter the filtering rate. According to the results of the water filtration analysis, all filtered water is substantially cleaner in terms of pH and turbidity, which are within the national water quality standards for Malaysia. For the future improvisation, the researcher could create a water filtration device that could use to filter flood water for drinking purposes. Then consistency tests of water quality parameters can be used to check the quality and filtration efficiency of water across time. Ammonia, nitrogen, biological oxygen demand, total suspended solid nitrate, zinc, and sulfate are some of the parameters that are thought to be improved. Here is the Gantt chart for Bachelor Degree Project 1 and Bachelor Degree Project 2. Here are some references that I refer to complete my project on time. Thank you.